Hello YouTube and welcome to Unity. Unity is a 3D game engine made for people who don't want to get really nitty-gritty into the programming but would rather just make games, and there is of course programming and scripting involved. However, it's there's a lot of prefabs, there's a lot of things done for you, physics is done for you, a lot of great reasons to use it. And you can get off the ground with actually almost no programming language. You can get started and make a game almost like this. I'm going to show you real quick what we're looking at here. This is a game I made in Unity myself. It didn't take very long at all. Quite simple. It's just a first-person shooter game like this. I didn't make the graphics. I made the road and I made the building models and that plank over there, but I didn't make the grass or the trees or the sky. Those came with Unity, actually. I'm just going to show you what it does. If I click, shoots it, boxes go flying everywhere. A giant explosion! And if I go over to, like, you know, one of these boxes or something and I stand on it, once these boxes stop falling, if I get on a box and I shoot the ground, it'll send me flying, and if you have a long box that you get on top of, like a really long flat one, you'll go flying over these mountains. So anyway, just kind of a cool, real simple game. Still pretty advanced as far as what it does. Look at the explosion graphics, look at the kind of the fire rate and everything, the movement. Pretty simple again, but you know, look, the trees are colliders. Or the trees, I edited it so the trees would be colliders, but this isn't the version with that edit. But anyhow, simple little program, but I'm going to do a Unity tutorial for how to make a first-person shooter like this quite simply. By the end of 10 or so tutorials, you'll have a game like this, and you will be able to then go from there and add stuff and change things and just kind of continue on with your Unity career. So that's kind of a demo. Unity is available for free from the website. And before I get too much into Unity, I'm just going to talk about my YouTube channel just for a second. If you don't want to hear the skip ahead to like the 5-minute mark or so, if you're just interested in the Unity part of this tutorial, at the 5-minute mark I'll get back to Unity. Basically, my big thing right now is my Java tutorials, and with the recent increase in subscribers, still nothing amazing, but just, you know, some new subscribers, I thought maybe I'd try to branch out, do a couple new things. So Unity was a good idea. However, for Java right now, in the 7th one I mentioned I wanted to do tutorial number 8 to have Java smart enough to launch its own bat file, to create a bat file, launch the bat file, have the bat file launch it, and then from there is launched in a console window, so it can have system.println and scanner of type system.in and all that automatic, built in there, without any kind of user interface that you have to create or anything. I decided that wasn't the best thing for tutorial 8. I don't know what I was thinking. I recorded it as tutorial 8 just a little bit ago. I have it on my computer here, but I don't think it's, I don't like the way it turned out as far as how I explain stuff, but I really don't think it's what people should be doing next in Java. I think there's some other paths I want to go down. Networking is the main one. I did a networking, a live stream making a text RPG, very simple and hardly got into it at all. A live stream took about an hour and a half or so. I posted a video about it. I'm not doing the live stream again like that. I made a couple blunders, and I still think even if I hadn't done that, it wouldn't have been a very good experience. Because the thing about a live stream versus a live stream you have to watch it live. So not only does the person who's live streaming have to kind of, you know, slow down for the audience and stuff like a normal kind of classroom, but there's no pause button. So you have a lot of people. I don't mind slowing down at all, but if you have more than like 1 or 2 people watching, one might be like, I'm done, I'm ready to go on. Another one's like, wait, I'm still catching up. Wait, I'm still copying this code, you know, whatever. And so it doesn't end up being the best medium for tutorials. So I may revisit that in the future if I think of a really good idea for how to do it different. But for now, that's the end of the live streams. I'm going to do the same thing I was going to do in the live stream, development of a RPG, a text RPG, multiplayer with servers and everything, in an actual video series I'm going to call like RPGville or something, and I'm just going to in there develop a text RPG, and maybe do a live stream of playing it or something fun like that. And anyway, once I'm done, I will host a server of it for a while, just for fun. Don't really expect much, but just to have it for fun, to see what Java is capable of doing with even limited Java experience, knowledge. You can still, tutorial 8 will be networking. It'll be how to do networking, how to send things from the client to the server and the server to the client, and read files and integrate all that, do some encryption. We'll have some really cool stuff there in tutorial number 8. Well, actually in that series, in tutorial 8 is kind of going to be the intro into it with networking and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we're about we're about at the 5-minute mark, so I'm going to get back into Unity here. Unity is a free download. Just go to the Unity website and click download and take it from there, download. Then it'll have some kind of little download thing there if you're using Chrome or whatever, and you'll just double click it and it'll install, and eventually you'll get an interface that looks like, well, basically, let me close Unity and open it back up from the beginning. Actually, I'll force quit it here. It's being a little bit buggy. Unity. Let's launch it again. This is how it looks when you launch it up. And here's the welcome screen and everything. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do File, New Project, and just name it whatever you want. I'm going to call it FPS Tutorial. FPS first-person shooter, not frames per second. And for importing the following packages: character controller, light cookies, light flares, particles, physics materials. I import everything personally because a lot of times I end up finding stuff in those packages that I never imported them thinking about. So just import everything. You probably don't need a lot of these things, but just import them all. We'll use at least a majority of them. Create a new project, so it's rebooting Unity right now. Whenever you create a new project, it does that. It closes and starts up again. So let's just wait a minute for Unity to load up here. Compiling scripts, everything, all that exciting stuff. The more packages you import, the longer it does take to load the actual editor, but it shouldn't impact loading performance on your game, your finished game product. It shouldn't, so don't have to worry about that. And of course everything needs to be imported, especially the first time. First time setup takes a while with a lot of imports. So, while this is going on, I'm just going to talk about Unity a little bit. Unity is developed kind of as a similar, kind of almost a tangent off of Game Salad. If anyone's ever used Game Salad's for 2D game development with no programming. This is 3D game development with limited programming. So kind of a similar market here, a similar field. You're looking at a similar logic as far as the things here aren't going to be drag and drop. They're not going to be that simple. However, there are a lot of prefabs for you, a lot of things that they've made already, first-person controllers, skyboxes, a lot of things you can use to get ready and, in just a little bit, get a character walking around in a 3D world with landscapes and mountains and lighting and everything. And you can really quickly, and then as you learn more things and get more things, you can modify them. You can add sprint functions or weapons to the user interface or anything you want. You can begin to add, but it gives you really good basics. So let's just close this window. Let's go to File, New Scene. We'll create a new scene here. And inside the scene, we'll go to Terrain, Create Terrain. And what is a terrain? Well, a terrain is essentially this little thing that allows you to, and by the way, I'm scrolling around by pressing right-click and moving. Right-click, move, scroll is zoom, scroll out, scroll in, like that. It's basically this giant flat sheet on which you can do a bunch of cool things. So you can edit it, you can change the topography of it, the colors, you can paint on it, whatever. But we just want, right now we want lighting. So I'm going to go Game Object, Create Other, and I'm going to go to Directional Light. I'm going to move this directional, you can also pan. You can move around with arrow keys, just hold it, and it'll really speed up. And let me get over here. I'm going to move this lighting. Lighting is kind of hard to tell where it is. So there will be a lot of times where you just kind of are confused as hell as to where your lighting is pointing and where it is and everything. It's kind of hard at first to get the lighting set up. Lighting is probably the hardest part of this first tutorial here. Just getting this light set up. It's a real pain, actually. But once you get the light in a good position, still going to move it more. This is nowhere near where I want it. It's there. I want it to be I think right around there. Right around there looks good. And then I'll rotate it a little bit to be more like a setting sun almost type color probably. This kind of rotation doesn't do anything. This kind of rotation does, of course, something. So anyway, That's the lighting element. Now let's talk more about terrain. If anyone ever played Roller Coaster Tycoon, this is actually kind of similar here. You can use a brush and basically paint on it like that. Um, I just press Control Z to undo. But you can change the brush size, the opacity, and I want a cool brush. I want something like this, and I'm going to draw some awesome mountains here. Ooh. No, you want mountains. You go big brush size, a lot of opacity, and you just go like this. Stay in the same kind of area, just kind of mouse around. It's left click to paint, and it just paints it for you basically. Let's move around a little bit. Oh yeah, mountains are looking good. Looking good. Alright, let's put some more mountains down here. And again, you'll probably want to spend a lot more time in making mountains than I am right now. I'm not sure yet, I may do a couple things off camera, like repetitive things like creating all the mountain scenery and all that kind of stuff. I may do some of that off camera. The one reason a lot of people are probably looking at Unity tutorials right now is because of the recent game release Slenderman. It's a game where basically this really slender guy follows you through a forest as you collect pages. And that was actually made with Unity. And that just shows the power of the kinds of things you can do with Unity. Games for the iPhone that are made with Unity, yeah, you can do mobile iOS development. Battle Bears was made with Unity, if anyone's ever played Battle Bears. There's a lot of games, actually, that have been made with Unity that are pretty impressive as far as... You can go onto the Unity website and see a list of games that have been made with Unity, and while it's not games like Call of Duty or anything, you have some pretty cool games in there. So if we run it, of course, nothing really is going to happen. It's going to show us this kind of flat thing. And the reason is because we have this main camera out here. We can just delete that. We don't need a main camera. Now if we run it, boom, nothing. Now what we really need is to go into our standard assets, go to character controllers, and drag in a first-person controller, and just plop it right there. Press F to focus on it, make sure it's, above terrain and everything. You can move it up a little bit and press play. Ooh, all of a sudden, look, we already have a first-person game. We can walk with WASD. We can jump with space, as you can see. Can't really see the jumping too well. If I get closer to a mountain, you'll be able to see it just fine, because you'll be able to see the mountain moving up and down. Can you see that I'm jumping right now? So the character controller by itself is kind of advanced as far as what they give you to start out with. And already, you've already made a first-person game. You can walk around in it. You can't really interact with the environment yet at all, but you can certainly walk around. You can pan, move, jump, hop, whatever, skip, whatever you want to do. So it's still pretty basic, though. We want some color. We want some pizzazz. So let's go to the terrain. And let's go to the terrain paintbrush for color. Now, I could start painting and I'm like, why is nothing happening? Everything is painting white and stuffs. What the hell? You have to define a texture. So click on Edit Textures and Add Texture. A lot of textures already come with this. For example, you can use this grass hill is a really good texture. And I'll add another texture. This grass rock is a good texture, and as you go through, you'll kind of find some other textures. You'll make your own textures. They have to tessellate well. They have to be able to, stop and start again, because it's just basically the same pattern repeated over and over. Now let's play it. Everything looks like grass, because that was the first one we selected. You'll also notice our player character, our first-person controller, is like right on the ground. He's like, crawling on the ground or something. So we'll want to change that eventually. In fact, we could do that right now. This is going to be our first little introduction to kind of editing instead of just drag and drop. We're going to select this cylinder, basically this mesh here, and we're going to edit it. We're going to stretch it using this tool right here. This tool gives you these boxes that you can then stretch and edit things with. You can basically manipulate their size and shape. Now that we've done that, you'll see it's still not high off the ground at all. You're probably thinking, well, why? I mean, it should be, I stretched it all far. Well, it's because if you look at your main camera here, your main camera is positioned at the bottom. However, your main camera being under first-person controller is tied to that object. So when this moves, this moves. So let's put this a little bit higher up. Let's put it like right there. Let's run it. Oh look, we're higher up off the ground. We have some height, we have some, whatever, and we could move that up further. We can move it all the way up to here. And then it looks like he's really far off the ground. Looks kind of weird. Might look a little bit better if he moved faster or something of that sort, which we'll also look into a little bit later. But that's really the basics of Unity 3D here. Let's paint the mountains, or let's do some more painting. The terrain, we never really got to paint. Just the first texture you select is by default the texture that it puts everything at. You can select a different texture and paint with it. So where's my first person controller? There he is. Found him. Back to terrain. I'm going to brush some rock around him. And we'll start this up. As you can see, we're surrounded by a little patch of rock, and then outside it's nice grassy green. So pretty cool. This is the Intro to Unity 3D tutorial number 1. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below.